Hey there, it's James with Make It Happen Greenhouse, and this is our potato harvest. So these plants have nearly completely died away, just some little bit of light green left in one stem. So it's now time to try to harvest these potatoes. So the first thing I need to do is remove all the little clips that I used to hold these vines up as this thing grew up. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and you know what? We'll fast forward the video for you so you don't have to watch all this boring stuff. All right, so before we see what we have under the soil here, let me just talk a little bit about my expectations for this. So let's go back in the way backy machine and just recall that these beds were planted before the greenhouse was put up, and actually the greenhouse was built around it. So all on this right side of the greenhouse is the lazy bed, and oh, we got some rain. Got to get out of the rain. Hold on. Okay, the sprinklers have now turned off. It feels like a tropical rainforest in here. But as I was saying, so these are the lazy beds on the right side that run down the right side here that were put in, as the greenhouse was being built around it, essentially. So one of the early crops, we had some potatoes that got a little old and had eyes on them and really weren't suitable for eating anymore. So, we planted them in here, and we had just, these things grew like crazy inside. So I'm excited to see, now that the vines have died away, if we actually will have some good potatoes underneath. So my expectations are that we will. I'm hoping. I'm crossing my fingers. I've done potatoes before, and I always end up with little tiny ones. Rarely do I get good big ones. So maybe we'll be lucky this time. My one caution or worry is that we've had a lot of pill bugs or armadillo bugs in here, and you can see that something's been eating away at this. That's one of the potatoes that we put in, that it grew out of, the vines grew out of. But we could dig in here and they would all be rotten or eaten up. So right now it's a complete mystery. I have no idea. So I'm excited to find out. So, and then, because this had died back and I ran out of room, I started putting some other plants in here. So we'll take this in stages and see how it goes, move this stuff around to get at the potatoes. But I guess it's time to see what's in here. So I got my pitchfork and my box with some burlap over it. We'll put the potatoes in there before we go and kind of rub them off a bit, get the dirt off, and then let them go dry in the basement. I have a grow tent in the basement that's been, empty since summer has rolled around, spring, and we moved everything out. So that'll be a good spot to put those potatoes, if they're good, and let them cure for a bit before we actually, eat them. So with no further ado, let's get at it. But I got the pitchfork ready, and just like you, I'm no pro at this. So what I was told is to use a pitchfork, dig in front of the bed and down deep and then up to try not to, damage or skewer any of the potatoes. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do here. We'll start in this area and we'll just see how it goes. It's pretty wet in here. I think you're supposed to let it dry out a bit, but the greenhouse is on a timer. It runs off a sprinkler system, so it is what it is. So let's give it a shot and see what happens here. So I'm going to pull back a little ways into the path I have here, and we'll just go down, see if we get anything popping up here. We'll rake it back just a little. I have no idea what we're going to get, so we're all finding this out together. So far I see nothing. So let me just pull this out with my hand and see if we're going to be completely disappointed, or if we'll actually have a potato in here. Well, so far, nothing. So I'm just gonna pile this dirt over here. You know, it's quite possible that, you know, with this being indoors and having just such a good flow of moisture hitting it all the time, that the potato plants themselves, you know, grew great above ground, but maybe didn't get us anything below ground. So yeah, so first hole here, we got nothing. So we'll just keep going here. I'm gonna go a little farther in. Maybe there's something. I gotta say though too that when I put this bed in, whoop, no potatoes. Oh wait, maybe. Well, look at there. Oh, really waterlogged, mushy. Yeah. So that's what I was worried about right there. You can see it. Tiny little potato, extremely wet, which tells me that that's a real bad sign here. We might not get good production out of here at all, if anything at all edible. So we'll just keep pulling on the vines here, and we'll see if anything shows up. Yeah. Just keep going. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. So, I don't know though. Yeah, see there's a lot of good roots. Obviously these vines grew spectacularly. You've seen some other videos. But really not getting much good out of it. Okay, now there's a potato. It's not completely mushy. Woohoo! Tiny potato! Look at that. Small little potatoes. So let me try this middle part and see if there's anything more in here. I grew these last year outdoors in some bags, and you know, same kind of deal. We got small little potatoes, just like what I showed you. So I thought, we'll get it in here, and you know, maybe we'll have a better luck. But I gotta say, so far, not too much. So there's the biggest one so far. You know, these would be good in a roast, pot roast or something. But man, for all the effort that I put into these things, so far, not worth it. So our potato growing still has something to be desired. But I like doing this with you because we all learn. It's a good sign though, look. Some worms in here. That's what we want to see. This soil was actually terrible that this is built over. It's all clay. Just really nasty soil. So, and again, it was kind of a rush to get it in. So, you know, who knows? Let's see. Any more luck over here? Come on. Yeah, and actually, now that I'm looking at this, this is that clay I'm talking about. So this is not good topsoil. So, you know, my initial reaction is we covered the existing, you know, grasses with quite a bit of cardboard, and then covered that with about 4 to 6 inches of topsoil mixed with mulch, like cotton burr, so to try to make the soil better. But those boxes have pretty much completely disappeared, and this is obviously the soil is obviously not 6 inches deep anymore at all. So maybe those potatoes just kind of hit that nasty clay and said, you know what? It's not really a good place. So we're not going to produce. So that's why we got the little ones. There's just a tiny little piece of box that was left in here. So, oh, well, hold on. Hold the horses here. Hey, look at that. There's a good looking potato. So we got 4 little potatoes now. Not big at all. And you know, I was gonna wait longer to do these, but I got a little impatient because I was told when things die back, you can pull them. They're certainly all died back, and the vines are all pulled back. So let's see what we got here. Nothing in this, but another tiny potato. So this isn't going to be a feast by any stretch of the imagination. But we got something. And now we're getting real close to the bean plants here, so I'm going to want to be careful how close I get. I'd rather have the beans than the potatoes, to be quite honest. But I don't want to, leave too many in here. Boy, these really did grow. The vines are just all over, but I'm just not seeing any production in here. So, but they're falling out. That's a big one, comparatively speaking. There's a few in here. So I think what I might do is turn this up a little bit more with this, but then switch to the hand tool and see if we can kind of sift through this and get all these little potatoes out. Oh, see what I'm seeing in here. Yeah, there was some, but we got some rot in here. So it looks like maybe, they tried. Oh, again, that clay, just brutal. So the plan next year is on, just like on that side, we have raised beds, to switch over to raised beds on this right side next year. All this area I'm digging up would be actually included in that. Alright, well, I'm going to turn the video off and see how many more I can get out of here with a hand tool. It is what it is. It's not what I hoped for, but we got something out of it and we learned something. So that's a good thing. And it's always fun to get your hands in the dirt. Okay, prepare for the bountiful harvest that was my potato bed. Are you ready? So under this tiny piece of paper, we're going to find a small handful of potatoes. Yes, not at all overwhelming, completely underwhelming. The biggest potatoes in here are these 3, and you can see, if I had like 100 of these, I would not be upset. But you know what? It is what it is. So I always like to learn, and this is the second go around with potatoes. I mentioned last year did them in outdoor, bags, basically, and actually got a few more than this. But what I've learned from this experience is that I'm not going to grow potatoes inside the greenhouse. Instead, I will put them in a raised bed outdoors because I think they'll do better out there. Main thing is, and we'll walk over here and look, but the soil that was underneath was just rock hard clay. So covered that with cardboard, covered that with topsoil, potting mix, cottonwood to try to have nice good 6 inch deep thing to grow in, a medium to grow in, and it just didn't work. So you could tell many of the potatoes I pulled out were just mushy from being too wet. There's a lot of bug activity in here, mostly the pill bugs, the roly-polies as my kids call them. So I think these just took up a tremendous amount of space when they were growing. I mean, they were huge. So a lot of that energy, I think, went into the leaves and the vines versus into the root system and the potatoes themselves. And the other thing is maybe I should have let them sit for just a little bit longer. But judging from the number that I have here, you know, even if these grew twice as big in a month or something, you know, they still wouldn't have been that many. So again, we'll eat these, no problem with that. But kind of a live and learn moment here. So next year I'll do potatoes, but they're going to be outdoors in some of the new raised beds that I'm planning on building out there. So thanks for watching this experience. Hopefully this helps you. I guess my biggest tip, again, outdoors, make sure you got maybe like a foot of really good tilled soil. Watch out for over fertilizing so they don't, you know, bolt. I think maybe that's what happened here with these potato plants. But you know, in the end, hopefully you get some. So I had these last year, and even though they were little and stuff, they tasted awesome. Nothing like growing your own food. So over and out.